Yo, what's happening, my people? This is your captain AJ Murky here. Welcome to a new video. Hoi, and today I'm going to be spotting, documenting and sharing you my experience at one of Europe's most busiest airports after London Heathrow, being Amsterdam Schiphol in the Netherlands. Not Holland, the Netherlands. Holland is a province in the Netherlands. Get it right. But yeah, this is going to be an exciting one for me, albeit it's going to be a long form video. So if you have patience, watch the video the whole way. If you don't, I got timelines for you. But yeah, I'm going to be spotting with the Infinite Flight community at just two locations, being the ones I'm going to be showing you soon. But yeah, I'm going to be spotting at two locations at Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. But I'm also going to be showing you clips I've spotted back on the 1st of August 2023. So on the day of the meetup, it was on the 17th of August 2024. So when I first went to Amsterdam and did some spotting, that was a year before then. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to show you what it's like spotting there and just giving you guys my overall experience on what it's like there. Without no further yapping, let's get straight into talking some facts about it. Now, this airport has 6 runways, 5 being situated around the apron and terminal buildings, and 1 situated further from the middle runway, being runway 18 center or 36 center. Now, these runways are given each names. Why? Because it aids the pilots to quickly identify and differentiate between them. These runways are named after nearby villages such as Buitenveldertbaan, or Dutch words for directions such as Oostbaan, and landscape features such as Polderbaan being Polderbaan. Dumbass. I just said it twice. Now, this airport has 7 piers or concourses and 223 boarding gates, which are all merged in one building, making it possible for passengers to transfer freely from gate to gate where all facilities are located. Now, these piers are split into 3 sections or halls. There's Departure Hall 1, which consists of Pier B and C and are dedicated for Schengen flights. Then you have Departure Hall 2, which consists of Pier D and E and are dedicated for non-Schengen flights. And with Pier D sharing both Pier B and C, that also requires going through custom security. And finally, Departure Hall 3, which consists of Pier F, G, and H or M, which are a mix of Schengen or non-Schengen flights. Firstly, talk about the pros. It does save you a lot of time connecting to another airport as opposed to directly going to the makeup area to pick up your bag or through security check, where you do the whole process as you did before your first flight to Amsterdam. You know, airports like Glasgow, Dusseldorf, Brussels, and most US airports have this. There are facilities like duty-free restaurants, bars, and other resting areas to take advantage of. It is walkable, meaning you can walk from pier to pier to get from gate to gate. However, it does pose some disadvantages, where it will take ages to walk there as there aren't many people movers like shuttle trains provided. The only ones they have are go-karts that staff use to transport old or disabled passengers. But if you're able-bodied, that means you're gonna have to get your ass over from gate to gate. And by doing that, that also requires cardio, like running, walking. I don't know what you can do. If you can run, if you're Usain Bolt, if you're Mo Farah, then you're laughing. Anyways, that's pretty much it from talking about the layout of this airport. So let's actually get straight into the meat, the tomatoes, the lettuce, the cheese, and show you what it's like spotting at both different times. Right, so here I am at the airport and we're just about to head over to security. It's 4 o'clock now, so I don't really need to get my boarding pass or anything like that. All I need to do is just get my through security. From the direction I'm looking at the fast track area, which is what I'm going to be going through, because to be frank and honest with you, I can't be with the queues. So fast track is pretty much as fast as usual, and it's also conveniently located beside the Team 1 lounge, which is the lounge I went to. Now, I've had passengers approach me and ask me where it was, and if you really want to know where it is, you just have to follow the pinpoint that says Team 1 Lounge. Just keep looking onto your right and you will find the elevators and stairs, and boom, Bob's your uncle. There's your lounge, go up the stairs, you reach the final destination. I actually wanted to pan my camera to the right to actually show you where it is, but then DAA staff stopped me and told me off not to record because I was in a security area, which is pretty odd because before entering security area, they didn't have any pictures. They didn't have any signage telling me no pictures or videography allowed. Especially when I was first flying with Air France's Airbus A220 to Paris, they did not have any signage showing that. I guess that's their job, just to be difficult about it. I mean, listen, they're trying to make money here, so can't really say much, innit? Yeah, here's what it looks like. All right, so T1 lounge. This is what we got here. Got some nice cool little refreshments. It's not that much really crazy. Got some beverages, got anything you want to take for yourself to drink, take for yourself to eat, you know what I mean? Then we go over here, got some overnight oats, got some other types of refreshments, cheese, grapes, other types of fruits. Got some drinks up there. Got a place if you want to get some coffee. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I got some food options up there. Cool. Okay. Yeah. I kind of messed with it hard. I won't lie to you. I actually won't lie to you. Got some of the seats up there for you to sit out as well. For my breakfast, I had croissants with a slice of potato farl along with bacon, omelette, and a cup of latte. Definitely not a good idea to load up on those things because that's what got me in trouble later on that day. Alright, so I got some seconds. Got the granola here, and we got a fruit bowl. So, yeah, not too bad of the options. After spending my time at the lounge, I then checked my flight at the departures board and realized that it was on final call. So I had to sprint up and catch up to that flight. I didn't really sprint. I only gave myself a little bit of jog. Cardio session, you know what I mean? Let's go! Luckily, I made it. And here you can see my ride, Echo India, Echo Fox or Juliet, just sitting there, currently loading up passengers. There's my seat, 14 Alpha. Loving the seat, getting a window view as well, you know, between the engine and the wing, which is bless.
Welcome you to Amsterdam Airport. We can ask you to please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the seatbelt sign has been switched off. Please exercise the cautious opening the upper locker as items could be dislodged through the...
Alright, so I've made it at the dam with a flight time of 1 hour and 5 minutes. Yes, I have like what, an hour and 30 minutes until I head over to the meetup. So yeah, because the meetup starts at 12. I'm gonna be heading over to the Paranorma square No, Paranorma Terrace. Yeah. Before I head over to the meetup area, I actually need to find where it is so I don't get confused and vexed and annoyed or stressed because of that one location I couldn't find. So I might leave 30 minutes prior to that. You know what I mean? So yeah, look at where I'm standing in front of right now. I think it's much needed. Yeah, I need this one. I definitely needed this one. It's like all the molecules, all the lactics is just making love to this chair right now. I'm telling you right now. Hey. Alright, well yeah, I missed that part because I was just looking at the camera. Hope you enjoyed it and see you again. Yes, sir. I'll see you again. Why am I calling this, sir? Am I kidding? I had to catch 2 Airbus A350s. One being Delta's LA28 livery. I did not expect it to come through at Amsterdam. It's absolutely insane. That one is heading over to Atlanta, Hartsfield Jackson. Not gonna lie, that one, this is my favorite livery, man. One of my favorite liveries, man. I also caught China Airlines, especially when we were on the 738, you know, taxiing towards the gate. She was still there, so I was like, you know what, let me just pop up and get a close-up shot of her before I dip. So not gonna lie, seeing the China Airlines wide body has brought back so much memories, especially back in 2016 when they were operating flights with the Airbus A340-300. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it looked amazing just seeing it in person with the Airbus worn on the Airbus A340-300. Yeah, anyways, time to head over to the Paranorma Terrace. This spotting area originated in the 1930s when Schiphol was located where Schiphol Oost is now. In the 1960s and 70s, the airport became a popular destination for people to see the first jets. The spotting area extended towards Pier D and Pier B until the 70s when Pier B was closed due to security reasons. Over the years, sections of Pier B of the Paranorma Terrace were also abolished and replaced with enhanced departure gates. Although Paranorma Terrace wasn't fully removed, it was relocated to the roof of the terminal, which is the area we are at today. Alright, so here I am at the Paranorma Terrace. To get there, you just need to follow the signs that says Paranorma Terrace. Well, even after getting off the departures hall, you have to walk all the way towards the end. And as you walk all the way towards the end, you see the sign saying Paranorma Terrace. I was about to go on YouTube to even search where the Paranorma Terrace is, and I looked up and said, I'm so stupid. This is where it's supposed to be. So I had to follow that sign, and boom, here I am. One feature you'll find at this area is KLM's Fokker 100 on display. This Fokker 100, registered as Papa Hotel Oscar Foxtrot Echo, had its first flight on the 2nd of March 1989 as Papa Hotel Echo Zulu Kilo. It first started operations with Inter-Canadian on the 18th of March 1989. 7 months later, in October, it was transferred to Int Air until 3 years later, in May of 1992, it was transferred to Nation Air, all with the same registration of Charlie Foxtrot India, Charlie Quebec. 2 months later, on the 22nd of July 1992, it was next operated with Air UK with the registration change of Golf Uniform Kilo Foxtrot Echo. 6 years later, in 1998, KLM became its sole shareholder and Air UK rebranded as KLM UK. Meanwhile, Oscar Foxtrot Echo transferred with KLM UK until the subsidiary airline ultimately changed to City Hopper in 2003. Eventually, the airline decided to retire that aircraft on the 19th of February 2011, and just 3 months later in May, it was then lifted and placed onto the Paranorma Terrace, making it 36.5 years of age. Since this aircraft is only used for display and doesn't require any additional cost, I have the opportunity to head inside and take a look. Alright, so here I am inside the Embraer Fokker 100. As you can see here, you got the cockpit, flight deck, PFD. You got your nav system, your nav display. Information up there. Got the information about KLM written in Dutch. Not too bad. The hole itself. And then you get Alright, so now that I showed you what's inside the Fokker 100, let me give you guys a few highlights on what I had at the Paranorma Terrace. So there are two 767s I caught, one taxiing to the runway being TUI, and one parking at the gate being Ice Air. Legendary, must I say. Then there was KLM's A330-200 heading down south to Lagos, Niger. Finally, a group photo where I was included. I was also given 2 key tags from Mr. Dan the Man himself. So yeah, next let's head over to Buitenveldertbaan. Spottersplatz Buitenveldertbaan is located northeast of the airport adjacent to runway 27. To get there you can take buses 198, 300, 369 or 397. These buses take 7 minutes from the airport, and once you get off at Untitled Schiphol Nord, which is the bus stop, continue walking for 4 minutes to reach the area. Now it's convenient in 2 ways. It is closer to the airport and takes a 7-minute bus ride to get there as opposed of hiking to Polderbaan, which I will talk about later on. It's got nearby facilities such as cafes, toilets and food, which are all found in McDonald's. Buitenveldertbaan offers a variety of aircraft where I would often see a mix of regional, medium and some heavies. However, it isn't a primary runway as it is mainly used in specific wind conditions or during peak congestion. Luckily, traffic at the time was actively using that runway, but if I were to come here again, it wouldn't be the case. Now this spotting area does give you the ability to take a variety of shots where you can capture unique shots of city lines and Schiphol buildings in the background, and because the runway is shorter at 3,453 meters and closer to perimeter roads, aircraft often pass very close overhead on approach or rotate earlier, making for dramatic photos. I was also aware about the fact that there were limited areas to spot aircraft, as some spots are roadside with traffic or fencing in the way, and also backlighting in certain spots where the sun's position can make it very tricky for photography. But I don't think it's a deal breaker for me because of convenience is all I care about. Just being able to go near the airports, be able to spot aircraft, but also I'm not that heavy into photography, so I'm also aware about the fact that it can also get noisy, it can be busy, the traffic can get extremely busy from behind. Yeah, it's not one of the best places to spot, especially when it's a lot noisier. You know, it's probably gonna interrupt your camera a little bit more, making those shots a bit blurry, you know. At the time of the recording, traffic were utilizing runway 27. So yeah, here's what I caught so far. Next location I'm going to be heading over to is Polderbaan, which is the airport's furthest and longest runway at 3,800 meters or 12,467 feet. Now this runway was built in 2003, specifically on the 1st of November as 18 right or 36 left, and was named after the Dutch word polder, which refers to low-lying land reclaimed from the sea and protected by Vincent van Dijks. It was named this way as it was constructed in a polder, specifically the Haarlemmermeer polder, which is land below sea level reclaimed from a former lake. Now I'm going to give you guys my experience on what it's like spotting there along with the pros and cons. Now let's start off by addressing the elephant in the room, the fact that it's fucking far. Yeah, because Polderbaan is the furthest runway from the terminals, that also means you have to take extra walks to get there. Now if you're a pedestrian that doesn't have a car, bike or scooter, then the only choice you have to take is a bus and walk 30 to 40 minutes there, which can be a mission on its own. Now I happen to be the one living proof doing all that, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not it at all. Because of the fact that cyclists and cars share the same road, which can make it extremely stressful because of the fact that you have to know what's coming up ahead of you and what's coming up behind you. You literally have to be vigilant about it. And by vigilant, I mean you have to have all eyes on all sides of the head. Worst case scenario, I might encounter police stopping me and ask me questions about it. And I'm hoping they would probably bring me to that area or just bring me back to the airport, which kind of sucks. Luckily, God forbid, that is never me. I didn't encounter that. But again, the next time I'm going to Amsterdam and I'm walking towards Polderbaan, I'll also have to be vigilant about that part too. So now I could take a taxi up there, but that also means I have to expect the taxi driver to give me a hesitant response or a straight no from them. Now, the yes could be a miracle, but that's if they've just lost their virginity. Luckily, on the day of the meetup, I got a lift up to the area thanks to Cameron. Now, I might not be lucky this time, and that also means I have to take those extra trips, even being aware of the police patrolling the place. But that doesn't necessarily mean it ain't worth it for me, because once I got there, it was just peace and quiet. The obstruction is non-existent because of the fact that you get an unmatched proximity to aircraft either departing or arriving. However, relying on my iPhone to do the bulk of the camera work won't cut it, as the runway is a bit far from the spotting platform. So instead, having a telephoto lens from a camera or a flagship smartphone like these would work best for tight shots. Now, you guys have probably seen Swiss001's video where he plane spotted at Frankfurt using only the iPhone 17 Pro Max. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it does the job. I might actually think about getting the iPhone 17 Pro Max just to replace this iPhone 11 that I have here. And yeah, the thing is expensive. I'd say it would possibly be one of the most expensive Apple devices I've ever gotten. So far, it's the 14 Pro that is currently recording me, and I'm not gonna lie, even on the day of spotting at Amsterdam Schiphol, well, specifically the Emirates A380, it didn't do most of the job because it can only go so far to spotting parts of the Emirates A380 and not all of it, not all the details. Like, here's a video to actually show what it looks like. And yeah, as you can see, there's the aircraft departing out of the center runway. Very little detail, like you can barely see the whole detail of the Emirates A380. It's just blurred out, you know what I mean? Yeah, especially when she was turning right. God damn. I might think about it. I might think about getting that phone, but I digress. This area makes it plane spotter or videographer friendly, as it does offer ample space for tripods or cameras. I can stroll along the cycling path parallel to the runway to capture multiple angles and perspectives. Two things I'm aware of are cyclists, which I'll talk about shortly. Don't worry. And the fact that there is no shelter for protection, as I'm exposed to all kinds of weathers, being winds, especially when the land is flat, rain, or the sun splitting the stones on my head, causing some sweat to come out profusely. That's it, profusely. Yeah, and not gonna lie to you, I was a victim of it, especially on the day of the meetup when I was grabbing some food from the food truck and heading over to the bench to eat them. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the sweat coming out of my head was so annoying. I had to take off my sunglasses and wanted to put it off with my shirt. It was just, not gonna lie to you, I probably should have bought a towel, but I learned from next time. Talking about food trucks and benches, this spot does have them in case you're hungry and you want to sit down, you want to chill. I'm not sure, I think I remember vividly that they also have, no, I don't think they do, portable toilets, but I don't see any portable toilets, I'll be honest with you. But if you want to do your business, you can just piss in the bushes. Just hold that. I did that when I was on my way back to the airport. And bro, oh God, my boys will know what I'm talking about. It was so embarrassing, bro. It was so embarrassing. Like, maybe I shouldn't have had that type of breakfast in Terminal 1 lounge, but whatever. This area doesn't have any cafes, restaurants. The only thing you're gonna find are predominantly parking lots and benches. With this runway being the most frequently used at this airport, you'll find a variety of aircrafts and airlines departing and arriving at every single couple of minutes, offering a constant flow of action. From E-Jets, 737s and A320s to 330s, 777s and 350s, and lots more. Did I say and? I said and before the A350. Do you know what? Shut the fuck up. This airport will give you the feeling of being a kid in the candy shop. However, just because this runway is the most frequent doesn't mean it's going to be in use. Now remember, this airport has 5 runways that the controller might use for certain situations where wind direction could change, noise abatement rules, and the time of day. The final point I would like to mention is going back to the cyclist part. If you're strolling up in general, or you're trying to find the rotation point or touchdown point of each aircraft, just be aware of one thing, because from watching Trevor Noah's video on his Amsterdam experience, he jokes about the cyclists there, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it is a culture in Amsterdam. Keep in mind that these cyclists do not give a fuck about your presence. They will just barge into you with no fucks given. It's crazy, because when it comes to these cyclists, wouldn't they have a common sense to apply brakes, especially when you don't have a belt, because apparently most of them do not have a belt. They only have brakes. So why don't you fucking use them? Seriously, like, I get it. Pedestrians, they block and clog the path. Frustrating. If I was the cyclist, I'll be really pissed. But if you don't have a bell, that's your problem. Remember this is a shared path. It's not your path. A shared path is between us, pedestrians, and a cyclist. You don't have a bell, you're lost. You don't want it to be a problem, apply common sense and brakes. Bedankt. Anyways, highlight of this spotting session is this 777-300ER from KLM in the orange Pride livery heading over to Montreal, Canada. Sorry, I just woke up from bed, so I'm a bit rusty.
Stop the cap!
That's all from the plane spotting, folks. It is time to head over to airside to catch my flight back to Dublin. Before then, let me take you all back to 2023, where I popped into Plains Plaza at the arrivals hall to do some window shopping. Inside, I got a view of a mix of plastic and die-cast aircraft models in display. Personally, I wouldn't get those models because I'm a 1/200 scale die-cast guy with 2 models owned. Beside the aircraft souvenir shop, I entered the front fuselage section of a McDonnell Douglas DC-9 aircraft with the registration of November 929 Lima, painted in the KLM colors. Of course, the seats are available, but I decided to faff around and then dip because there really isn't anything special there, to be honest. Back to 2024, I headed over to board my second Ryanair 737-800 home. The registration is Echo India Delta Lima Charlie, who had his first flight on the 16th of December 2005. At the time of the recording, it was 17.6 years of age. This aircraft has the old chubby and comfy seats. However, as I pan my camera downwards, this is where it got long.
Oh, messy,
It's
this
in the
seat
other
is, bro. Come on, man.
It's not with Papa, it's here, just wait.
Come on and I see this.
Get it.
Nonsense.
I mean, I got what I paid for. First and foremost, shout out to the Infinite Flight staff for making this happen. It was great meeting and chatting with Dan the man as well as Cameron and Jason for the first time. Laura was also there, but I didn't give myself a chance to chat to her until the Paris Air Show just a couple of months ago. It was great networking and getting along with the community, including Jan, who is now a moderator and has been since the time of the meetup. I think it was a couple of months after the meetup. I've always used him on Infinite Flight Assistant, and I've only just realized that when I was playing Infinite Flight recently. When I heard his voice, I was like, oh, that's the same guy I've met. No way. Overall, Schiphol has been a great spot. Being able to freely spot aircraft without having to deal with restrictions or obstructions has been a blessing. Would be sound to run Polderbaan again, however, I'm not about to risk it for a biscuit, especially when I'm exposed to weather and the effort that I have to go through to get there. I'll probably spot at both the Paranorma Terrace and Buitenveldertbaan. Those are the only two that I think are enough for me, as they are both convenient spots. I'm rating this airport a solid 8 out of 10, and I'm definitely going back there again, especially this year. I mean, by the time the video is uploaded, I'm already back there because I have some unfinished business with this city. With that being said, enjoy the landing, and I'll see you a lot later in the next meetup where I went to Zurich, Switzerland. Take care.
final cross-check.